Hail, hail! The CeltsAreHere here, and that was a lovely wee couple of hours, wasn't it? Of just thinking about the football and just watching some football and seeing a couple of goals, which was quite cool. And a decent wee match. We'll have the full breakdown to the match and all the comings and goings of it tomorrow out on the channel. We'll have that kind of recorded and done in usual fashion. But in the aftermath of the game, Martin O'Neill's obviously fielding some questions around transfer business and such. And we also have some exclusive news on the CeltsAreHere Substack, thanks to, I believe, Mark Hendry is credited with it. And to all you guys that support CeltsAreHere by joining the Substack, you'll have already got the email notification in your inbox already that the junior, pardon me, not junior, I'm getting them confused. Joel Mvuka deal is a permanent deal rather than a loan or anything like that. And the fee that Celtic are reportedly going to be involved in this one is going to be £3 million. So that's a deal that is progressing. We're actually doing a medical for the guy, and Martin O'Neill basically confirmed the same for Junior Adamu. The reports earlier today did indicate that Celtic were subject to hijack when it came to the Junior Adamu deal, but it feels like that one's progressed, maybe beyond the point of no return. He's in London, I think, and maybe Mvuka is on his way there also, something like that anyway. And both transfers feel relatively imminent. Don't want to jinx it, don't want to curse it. Gajemis, on the other hand, feels like he's probably now been kicked into touch. Martin O'Neill did suggest that there is one more bit of business that could be done. We'll have a quick look at the squad and try and maybe even think about a little bit of the context we got earlier today with the inclusions of Mvuka, who, as we mentioned earlier, is mainly a left winger, but can play right wing alongside Adamu, and how they kind of fit into the squad and really what they give to us. Good to see you all live and loud. Be sure to hit the like button if you are watching us live. And if you're catching us after we've been live, of course, feel free to do the same. Support the channel, support the content. And if you're watching us after we've been live, jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on these two additions. Are they going to be good enough to get us over the line? Are they going to, get the attacking complement here to the required level where we can now go? We're Thursday, Sunday for a long time. Can we continue to go at this rhythm of the season at the sharp end of the season where every point is a prisoner, there is no room for error, and get the goals required, make the chances, take the chances that we need to get over the line. I'll have a wee look at that and discuss it all with you all in a moment, obviously, but feel free to get that into the chat. Audience participation always welcome. I've got the chat up on screen. And good to see you. But yeah, it certainly does feel like another left winger. Somebody put in a great comment earlier on. I just want to try and go back and find. I need to get better at keeping an eye on them. But it was a lovely observation. It was Sugarman 4354 here. It looks like the rumours might be true. It seems any fee 3 million and under can be agreed at board level. Anything over has to go to Dermot Desmond for approval. Mvuka, the first transfer since Tab B, under that figure. And it's a great little parallel, a great line that you've drawn here, Sugarman, on the, what do you call those walls when the detective is looking for the serial killer, and they put the pictures of all the culprits everywhere and where the crime happened, and they draw the little red lines across. That's a really good little red line you've drawn across these two here. Very similar category. I've got a quote I would love to be put it on screen. I'm waiting for approval. I definitely can read you a little bit of it. I'm sure that would be a-okay. But a friend of mine who's a scout actually watched Joel Mvuka when he was playing for Norway under-21s. I need to get confirmed what match it was in particular. I could maybe work it out if we went and looked at their fixtures and what matches he's featured in. Like what I could maybe, let's say work it out. But I'll read you a little. So Mvuka coming in on the wing, either one, right? Now, he has played on the right. He has got right wing contributions, appearances, etc. He's right-footed. He can play right wing. Don't get me wrong, but profile-wise, similar to maybe like your Taneke. I know Yang has kind of risen on the right wing, but Yang, previous to this rise, has been best on the left. This recent, it's really since the Nancy era that Yang has kind of found a path on the right-hand side here. So not to say it's a write-off for the guy in that regard, where, because it's another, like, he prefers the left, it won't work for us. We've been kind of stung by this because, no one's going to convince me that Ben Negren was not signed to replace Nicholas Kuhn at right wing. And whoever's done that, again, I don't think they really knew Ben Negren in terms of winger. It's not like unlike for like replacement, is it? And maybe the same could be said about Balakwisha, been incorrectly profiled. I don't think it's quite to the same of the extent as these guys where, on paper and in theory, we could get them doing this shift. Maybe he's just saying, I'm never doing that. I'm this type of player. And the Gren will just get on with it, won't he? And a little side note on the Gren, that little he'll get on with it kind of thing is maybe went against him when it comes to how Celtic fans view him, I guess, because this guy is, if you go all the way back to Rogers ball at the beginning of the season, Negren has played, I feel him and Engels especially, like they're two guys that have really had to think on their feet and really problem solve position wise and like how suited they are to jobs they've been given, you know. Anyway, so I've got some quotes here on Mvuka, right, from a scout that's watched him that I say knows his onions. Very good scout. Very quick and direct. First thought was to get at his man, albeit with little success in this game. Fairly weak press, keeping compact. Average strength, had a hard time gaining success against a physically strong marker. Posed a big threat off the ball with his willingness to run in behind. Not much of an aerial threat. Technically proficient dribbler. Needs to get his head up and look for more support. Happy to carry the ball with both feet. Set himself well with a decent first touch most of the time. I'm not trying to do the whole thing because I say I've not got absolute permission, but I know he'll be fine. Mentally quite a selfish player, which isn't a bad thing as a winger, but may benefit from releasing the ball earlier. Very brave to keep going at his man time and time again, even with little success. A lot more composure when faced up will go a long way. Is kind of the bottom line on that one. But yeah, very fast. And I think when you look at him, I think a lot of you guys will have done already. Speed and like dexterity is like definitely something that this guy will offer. And I think like what this tells you is that Yang is so high in Martin O'Neill's estimations that he is first choice winger. And I made the joke through the match that, you know, it felt like at a moment it happened. Yang became the best player in the team for 5 minutes where he was. He looked at Paddy Roberts for a minute. It took 3 men to stop him, and not even that was enough. He was still getting to the byline and winning corners. Every touch he made, that it didn't go wrong. Not that he was good and all that, but he still ended up, you know, didn't amount to much in terms of goals and assists and all that. And that's all well and good. But Mvuka is basically Yang of 2 years ago, isn't he? In terms of profile and where he's sitting. He's not coming in to lift the level. He's not coming in to push. Maybe he'll think, I'm going to push Yang out the team, fine. But I don't think we're openly bringing this guy in to do that. I think the fact he can play both wings is actually rather telling because today in the match, by the way, and again, on our side note, I don't think I've ever really said this. It dies in my head. I was an empty shirt today. Like an empty shirt today. Really, yeah, man. Like I could have played his shift today. I really do. Yeah, like I honestly empty shift today. So him being able to play two sides again, I just don't think we're cutting out this window unscathed. Again, I mentioned it in the show earlier today, and I mentioned it online. I think we've been chatting about this, but you know, there's 100% going to be a sacrificial lamb. We've put it in the title of the video today. It came out at full time as well. That Arnie Engels has had a bid submitted from Nottingham Forest in the region of 14 million quid. And since the Leipzig interest of a week ago or so, it just smelled of this is happening. It gets so many of the hallmarks, the deja vus of windows gone by when finally business starts to move and you think, oh, okay, right, things are about to happen. And then somebody gets, O'Reilly leaves, Jota leaves, Engels leaves, you know, it feels like the writing is on the wall. Now, the bid, I've got the clip from Martin O'Neill here. It's been posted by Clyde1, so feel free to give them a follow on Twitter at ClydeSSB. I think it's about 20 seconds in or so.
And there might be, hopefully, there's a possibility of other things happening between now and 11 o'clock, I believe.
So that's like, yeah, on top of Adamu and Mvuka.
I honestly, I'm telling you, I didn't know a thing about it. If they've done
yeah, and this is into Forest Engels.
Then they must have done it during the game. No, seriously, no, serious, no, because I didn't know a thing about it on it, and I would, I'd want it rebuffed unless it was 100 million, you know. So, and then I think the board would step in there. I think they've either
So maybe if it's 100 million, we sell him, is what Martin says, but otherwise he doesn't want him to go. And I get it. I don't want him to go either on a lot of levels. Like, number one, just quality of squad. We can't lose him at this time. We're in the trenches here, big time. Number two, we're not going to replace him. It's just not going to happen. And number three, I think O'Neill's got the best Engels. Now, today, I'm kind of like, jury's out. I'll need to watch the game back. I had both eyes on him today, and I really don't think he did well today. I thought he was actually quite poor. You know, just like the poor side of neutral. You know, I don't think it was like overtly negative, but yeah, it doesn't really do much in the game. Didn't really offer much, I don't believe. But I just think, yeah, there's three really good reasons there why you just cannot take him out the squad. But, you know, like, again, I hate to repeat things, but I can just see Michael Nicholson's office right now with that big "keep calm and carry on" poster. You know what I mean? And you could probably mix that with the meme of the house burning around you as well, with him in there. It's for how I kind of envisage everything. It's just like, this is what we do: keep calm and carry on. We'll get there eventually. We'll still win the league somehow, even though this is the current state of play. So I don't think we can accept a bid of 14 million for Engels, particularly with Martin O'Neill's stance on the situation and the likelihood of any reasonable replacement coming in for him. Um, I would have thought, when I seen the Leipzig and even the Forest rumor that broke yesterday, I'm thinking, like, if we got 18 for Engels and you get some add-ons on profit or anything from them, then I think that's not bad business, really. It's a big wage player, and that's really what I see happening here. Is a big wage player has to be sacrificed to the board. The board will not let us add all these extra bodies on that we need without a sacrifice, without one big hitter leaving, and we basically probably break even wage wise on where we're at, because all these guys are on loan and we're just taking their a cut of their percentages, or of their deals, essentially, with the fees and how these things get structured FFP wise. So it just feels borderline inevitable. And the Mvuka one really just lowers the bar, I think, on expectation here. The guy could come in and do absolutely brilliant, and of course we're all going to cheer him on and hope that he does so. But again, we need a guy this guy needs to contribute, And again, we're chatting about what is the bar for Kavankara. What's the bar for a backup winger like Mvuka here, who, like, how many starts can we realistically expect this guy to make? Because again, we don't expect, like, on the balance of reality, probably should have the ability to push Dyson out the team, really. If he can be like a really adventurous winger, maybe has an extra gear in him, pace and intensity wise, than what Tuneki has. Because sometimes that kind of fear factor of, like, unreal pace is just, like, undefendable. And in our league, like, I don't ever rule out random guys like this being, like, very good. The main problem I've got is just how big of a gamble it is, how big of a swing. Now, if he's back up to Yang, you might think, okay, well, we trust in Yang. Yang's kind of okay at the moment. But it's really like, it's not as if we're top by a point and it's like, oh, the fixtures are piling up and, oh, we might not win the treble this year, It's like, we might finish third. That's the main part of it, you know what I mean? But yeah, Adamu, on the other hand, I'm a lot more positive on. Before we just come to Adamu, I'll just repeat this in case any of you missed the show. So we've got a lot more of these live and loud here now than we did pre-Falkirk. But Joel Mvuka, this is his tail of the tape from League One with Lorient this year. He's been ever present off the bench for them. He's had two notable performances. No, one of them was last season. In fact, only one this season, I beg your pardon, against PSG in a 1-1 draw. But he actually went through his statistics in a bit more detail, but I'll just show them again on screen for you here. Defensively, very prolific. 4 tackles won. He's won 8 duels, only lost 2, which against PSG. Backs against the wall and in the final third. Very promising. He's made an interception. Passes very low, only 8 passes, and he made 5 missed passes, so 13 passes total. 1 shot on target, 2 balls get played into the box. So it's a good shift he's put in here, but this isn't exactly what we need, is it? He's not a fullback. But continuously, if you look at, and again, you guys know this metric system, the regular viewers of the channel, that goes 0 to 100. Anyone that can get into those mid-40s to 50s is a guy that is doing something in the match, is a guy that is, we look at this 50 performance here. This was in League 2. Let's have a peek. What do we find? He's lost more duels than he's won, but he's made 3 interceptions, so he's winning the ball back. 8 final third passes, 1 attempted assist, 1 big chance created, 3 balls into the box. So an active winger. Again, pressing isn't something that Hendo, my man, if I can I put Hendo on screen? Give him a follow. The scout I quoted earlier. If he's on Twitter, if he's on X. He's a Dunfermline fan, born and bred, but definitely Celtic friendly, at Ross H Scouting. Give him a wee follow. Good guy, knows his onions. Knows his onions. But again, it's just too sporadic. And again, for Celtic, there's just not enough meat on the bones here in terms of actual wing play. This is his time all the way back at Bodo Glimt when he was in the Norwegian league. And again, could I see him doing this in Scotland? Yeah, like, that isn't really that unachievable for people that have a certain level of talent that could play for Celtic. We've seen so many players that can be okay, and I'll think of a good example before we leave that aren't actually that good, but playing for Celtic, they kind of get away with it a wee bit. We just dominate the ball more. We're just going to be in the final third a lot more, similar to Bodo in a lot of these matches where he's did quite well. But stints in Switzerland, and in France, Ligue 2 and Ligue 1. It's just not really worked out for him. So this guy's level seems to be the Norwegian league, which isn't, again, is that bad for us? Probably not really, if we're being frank about it. But it's where we're finding him, and it's like it's kind of the opposite, or not the opposite, but it's a watered down version again of what we're getting out of Junior Adamu, who I mentioned in the show earlier today. I am actually really happy with in terms of number one, by contrast to everything else we've been linked to. That's the number one thing here. But number two, what this guy actually is on paper and what he's kind of shown in his career to this point. Now, in the Bundesliga for Freiburg, he's not been that good. He's actually, if you look here, he gets a lot of starts. He's not actually, these wee green arrows here, if you can see where my mouse is hovering, that's a sub appearance. And as you can see, there's not that many of them. Regular enough starter without being that prolific. He's got a couple of goals here and there, nothing really to write home about. But this is a guy in a Salzburg team, was a lot more prolific, did have some injuries back then as well, but has some really credible experience. Now, I've actually deleted the tab with him to show you his kind of tail of the tape from Salzburg, but I can get it back up quite easily here just to recap that from earlier quickly with you. But this is a guy that I would say, above all else, brings a level of football IQ, a level of football acumen. If you kind of study Salzburg in terms of how they manage players and the career paths of players that go through the Salzburg to Leipzig kind of conveyor belt, or even from Salzburg to other European teams and all the rest of it, so many of them play for this team Liefering when they're teenagers, 16, 17, 18, and get considerable appearances and lots of minutes under their belt before then being tried out at Salzburg, or maybe even loaned out to, there's another team that they have in Austria that they kind of feed players to. I forget the name of them right now. But anyway, that's irrelevant at this point. So this is the guy he's walked that walk, and you might think, oh, it's Austria League 2, right? And it is, or Bundesliga 2. It is a very low level. Don't get it wrong there. But it's a very good, for lack of a better expression, nursery, of like a league that is quite conducive to player development. This is back in the 18-19, 19-20 and 2021 season. We're talking the thick end of 5 to 7 years ago. This guy's 24, So he's got a lot of appearances at an early stage, and a team that is like drilled with a style of play, a regime, and really, really well-established football principles, do's and don'ts. It's kind of what I mean about football acumen and IQ, when to make the run, how to make the run, who to pass to, when to press, when not to press, all this type of stuff. So by the time, we find them, this is in the league only, right? Across, and again, League 2 in Austria, right? Fine, right? But 172 senior appearances, 52 goals, essentially a goal in every 3, with 20 assists on top, isn't too bad. It's quite consistent across the cup as well. 18 cup appearances across all the cups, 8 goals. Internationally, has 15 Champions League appearances under his belt, as well as Youth Champions League, for whatever that's worth. And again, because the Youth Champions League, it kind of muddies the waters a little bit. It's a bit worse his ratio in Europe, which, fair enough. He's not a super talent, is he? But he's, like I say, and he's got 9 caps, I think. 6? 9. Yeah, he's got 9 senior caps for the Austria team, as well as having a lot of Austria youth experience as well. So this is a guy that, I like a lot. I really do like a lot in terms of prospect. Now, I know the Freiburg fans were giving it tight to Celtic Online for this one, get rid of him and stuff. And if this guy is not Bundesliga level today, then that's not really any big deal for us. I don't think this guy comes to Celtic and isn't prolific. We mentioned before the bar with Kavankara being like 10 goals. He got 1 today. He got an assist on his debut. I think Adamu would be... I would take Adamu over Kavankara if we only had the option of one of them. I am astounded that we are adding in someone like Junior Adamu on top of Kavankara. If I can be quite honest with you, I think the fact that we will end January with this front 3 striker department. Now, I said before, this is like 3 1Bs if you think about how we kind of categorize strikers here on the channel. We had like Kyogo as a 1A, Giacomakis as a 1B, and then O as your number 2 kind of thing. And then number 3 would have been like a Vata or whatever. Again, go and check that video out. It's easy to find on the channel. But these 3 guys for me are all kind of 1Bs. Adamu maybe has a bit of the ability to be a 1A because he is still 24, and for a striker, and I know Kavankara's not, I don't think he's much older, if older at all, really. But I don't know, I just think Adamu he's just got more as I say, miles on the clock for a young player. He's got that kind of background, that kind of education. So I wouldn't actually rule it out for him, but that's a loan. We got a fee tied into it. Again, I'm not too sure that's clear yet. So we need to watch out for that one. Yeah, Jordan Craig's asking, is there an option? I'm not too sure. We need to watch out for that one. That's a detail I'm very interested in, certainly. And I'm not trying to blow this guy up to be anything more than what he is. But compared to, and the guy Redzic is on his way to Salzburg now. I wasn't too excited about that. Let's see how he pans out. Salzburg's actually on my watch list for the next couple of months, so I'll keep you up to date with him if you want. But from Gajemis and Masa Husanovic, some of these other guys that we've been linked to, outside of Kasper Hoch, all the other strikers we've been linked to, even Kavan Kara, damaged goods. One man's trash is another man's treasure type situation, diamonds in the rough. This Adamu is maybe just he's just been kind of maybe at the wrong level at the wrong time. It's maybe just taking a step a wee bit. Maybe, yeah, is that a step too much? Yeah, I guess you would say it is at Freiburg because he's not exactly thrived here. And he has, like I've already pointed out here, had a credible amount of starts. It's not as if he's off the bench and struggling for minutes. He's had a really good opportunity here. Really from this season started from, second game of the season. He came off the bench against Cologne. Fourth game of the season, or fourth, he starts and scores against Bremen. And then from there to kind of now, or well, half the time really, since the winter break, he's not been back in the team. But pre-winter break, that first kind of segment of the season, rather ever present, So, yeah, I guess you could say this is a level too far for him right now. Maybe needs to take a wee step back. Maybe the style of play of Freiburg isn't conducive to him, perhaps. But yeah, I quite like it. Let me catch up with the chat a little bit because it's been absolutely popping off. If you've not done so already, please do smash the like button. And if you've not done so already, please do subscribe to the channel for more content. The support from you guys, the growth we've had on the channel is absolutely fantastic. And as we get to the sharp end of the January window, the content is just going to keep coming because we've got so much stuff to keep going on with. Who are Kvan Kara or Chivan Chara? I don't get yes, okay. Chivan Chara, sorry. Okay. Milky Moo Truffles there, chinning me for my pronunciation. And yeah, okay, I think a little bit of the chat is chatting about Engels quite a bit, which is fine. I think I think we're maybe all on the same page with Mvuka's coming in to give us some depth here because we just don't have it, which is kind of bare minimum business for the wing, isn't it? And for this to be the 11th, 12th hour, like, why couldn't this guy have been signed like 3-4 weeks ago? Like, it's just madness, isn't it? As I say, I'm stunned that this is how it's finishing. Obviously, Iheanacho's fitness pending, and this Dyson just feels really sus to me all of a sudden. And if that was to happen, imagine it wasn't Engels, it was Dyson that left. It doesn't really. Yeah, we've got more firepower actually, don't we? But feeding them is still an issue. How do we do that, and how are we going to go about it? But yeah, the majority of the chat is chatting about the potential of Engels leaving. Now, the only midfielders that we've been kind of linked to with any sort of credibility is Silas Anderson, who again we spoke about earlier this afternoon. Hacken, his club, wants 7 million for him, maybe rising to 8. We don't really have Swedish data in too many websites. The Opta level of coverage for the Swedish league, not many websites carry it, so it's quite limited. But this guy, rest assured, profiles very, very well. They want 7 million quid for him. He's 21. This could be something that happens really quickly. The other one, of course, a name you're maybe a bit more familiar with this month is Nico Segur of Hajduk Split. That deal's kind of went quiet. Did profile quite similarly to Engels, but seems to have a bit more bite about him. Like just wins the ball back a bit more Devlin-esque, a bit more Terrier-esque, as it were. And that deal's kind of went quiet. If Engels was to move on, I wouldn't be surprised if this one was quickly resurrected and closed because, again, profile-wise probably comes in very similar. I believe anyway, it does come in very similarly to Engels and might just because again, this guy wants to go World Cup. He doesn't want to come to a squad where he's fighting for positions. Not too dissimilar situation to the whole Lennon Miller thing, where why would this guy come to sit on the bench? So maybe if that opens up for him, it could be him. I think one of you said there was a third midfielder. There's not a third one I'm aware of, but they're the only two I believe could be on the table to be flipped open. But again, with some of the transfers that we have been linked to, are the ones that we are completing, Adamu and Mvuka, kind of came out of the blue quite quickly. So I wouldn't rule out an entirely new name coming into the picture. My number one concern is that Engels walks out the door and we get no replacement in, because we are then looking at McGregor plus who to play alongside him. Now, I think we all agree Hatate can do this shift in here with McGregor. Absolutely. But I don't know, man. The wee man's off it now, isn't he? The wee man's off it. Him and Dyson didn't look too hot today. And I wouldn't be totally buzzing about doing McGregor Hatate in here between now and the end of the season. McKeown has played this role a number of times, and I say a number like 2 or 3 or something across various across his Celtic career. Bernardo, as we've all seen, is just not. He's just not been the guy. Sadly, I did think he looked. I did think against Braga. I thought, oh, okay, like he's actually doing. It's a good thing about Bernardo. We said it at the time was he's the same as us. He's been watching the team. You know what I mean? He's been watching the team and watching the team, so he can see where we're missing stuff and what we need. But ever since the Braga game, the fleeting minutes he's had, I don't know, man, doesn't seem himself in a lot of ways. Would I rule out one of these guys stepping up? I guess not. I wouldn't rule it out. But again, think about for the club being so risk adverse, big gambles, man. Big gambles. You can get Hatate to really light the fire for 3-4 months in this shift. You can get any sort of tune out of Bernardo the same. And McKeown, I think you know what you would get out of McKeown in these games. But the main area that hurts us, and again, you've seen it against Utrecht, Falkirk tried to get at it today, is this zone in between defence and midfield. This is the zone that hurts us, time and time again. And not having real cover in there. But the best chance, and again, we'll do the breakdown for the game at point of recording tomorrow, which will be Monday, the 2nd of February. But you look at, when McGregor does break into the final third, how much more intense, how much more aggressive we look, we need a bodyguard, we need a shield, we need somebody to let McGregor off the leash a little bit more. Some of you guys are saying sell Hatate. I like Hatate. If no one's coming in for him, I'm happy to keep him in the building and stuff. But we need sometimes these players when they're not totally firing. What I'm saying is madness. You're better to not have them than have them like kind of bringing a wee funk around the place. And when they do get minutes, they don't really. Even though the game was won when he came on, like I think I seen like one intense run out of him. Otherwise, he was just kind of flapping about. And I really thought, well, there was a really funny moment in the first half where I don't know if you caught it, where Hatate was messing with the guy who was trying to take the corner. And I thought, oh, good, Hatate's in that kind of mood where if he gets on the ball, he's going to want to do something. But I didn't really see it. Dyson maybe played a part in that as well, because Dyson was leading the line for Hatate when that happened. And Dyson, like I say, I don't think I've ever really looked at him and felt to the same extent he was an empty jersey. Because the one thing Dyson's always had, and I won't go too much into a breakdown, we'll do that tomorrow, but is his work ethic. Today, the work ethic was as low as you've seen it. Technique and such. And see even when Kavankat, was it Kavankat? No, Negren. Can't remember what goal it was. Everyone else, I think it is Negren. Everyone else is happy, and Dyson just looks like a little storm cloud. And yeah, Yang was unwell. No injury to Yang, which is great news. And again, when I heard Martin O'Neill's quotes around it, it made me think that he maybe had a wee puke, had a wee whitey at half time, because Martin O'Neill didn't know about it until he went back on. Somebody's maybe said, oh, Martin O'Neill said that he told he wasn't feeling well. Maybe he wasn't feeling well. But that made me think there was a story we spoke about on the channel sometime recently when somebody took a puke. Who was it again? Can you remind me? I couldn't remember, and I thought the chat will remember. The chat will catch me. Balikwisha isn't a footballer. Well, I kind of disagree, but not vehemently. I'm not going to fight you. I will lose, so I'm not going to bother. But it's just, again, wrong place, wrong time. Maybe, God, why was he not in the squad today? Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm a great guy. Like Hatate was maybe a bit sulky today. Japan manager was at the game midweek, maybe told Dyson and Rio they won't be making the squad if they stay. I don't know. Dyson's been kind of given a hall pass on that one, hasn't he? And Hatate, I've consistently said this on the channel, but I follow a lot of Japanese players, and I did follow the J League for a bit as well, not too long ago. But and you guys probably all know this now. The Japan team is fucking good, man. You know what I mean? And Hatate has never been like so good where it's like, why is he not in this team? Like every time there's been a squad, like, oh yeah, maybe there's maybe one spot, maybe two, where you're like, oh, Hatate could have got there, but beyond that, there's not massive space in that team for him. Yeah, so I don't know. I do think there's something in the Moriyasu appearance. It is Europe, and the only time we have seen him at Celtic Park before is for Champions League, so there's maybe not too much to read into it. Is the French lad still coming? Is that the boy Mvuka? Is he actually French? Sorry, that's not something I really caught. No, he's Norwegian. Yeah, try to get into the Norway under-20, the Norway World Cup team. Who's the French lad? Oh, Gajemis. He's French, isn't he? No, I don't think so. That seems to be on ice because Frosinone were after £6 million. You know, whoever works at Frosinone was tied into Celtic Twitter, weren't they? How much money we've got and how desperate we are. Adamida, that's who it was. Adamida pulled a whitey. That's what it was. It gave me a flashback to that. That's what it was. Thank you very much, Colin Rogers. On fire, mate. Great comment. Great catch. Adamu, 7 goals in 4 seasons. There has been injury in there as well. When we have a look at the tail of the tape on Transfermarkt, like as I say, we've looked at the and I get it. You know, I'm with you. I just think compared to everything else we've been linked to, the sort of profile of player. Like, you remember the other guy from Lorient we were linked to? What was his name? No, Bamba. Bamba, wasn't it? The other Lorient guy. Bamba, yeah. Like, see, compared to like this guy and some of the other no names we've been linked to, like Junior Adamu's like a different. This guy's got Champions League experience. He's won titles. He's been at a very good situation. It's a cut above a lot of the stuff we've been linked to. A lot of it. Ed and Jekyll doing his medical. Exactly, man. He's at Schalke. I think he started pretty well as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did something on his debut. He might be injured now, actually. I don't know if there's a... No, he's not. Off the bench twice, got a goal. In Bundesliga 2, which, let me tell you, it's not exactly easy. Yeah, I think Adamu's, like, pretty good. I don't think he's like, oh, he's going to save our season. He might, but I'm not saying he's like, oh, wow, best signing since Edward or whatever, you know, but that's a good one. That's like, okay, I totally get how we've ID'd him. I totally get why we're interested in him. And I'm kind of highlighting him here as being this arrowhead forward for us. I don't want to say target man. Arrowhead is an expression I quite like. We've used very regularly on the channel, and I think accurately describes the way Celtic want these players to be, whether it be a Giakoumakis or a Kyogo, you know, or arrowhead, you know, in the box, press the keeper, last touch, finish the goal, that kind of thing. Adamu does have experience of very similar to Maswanisi and the kind of wider angles of the front line, can play alongside other players in that way, interchange positions. When we first got the Adamu link last night, early this morning, the first thing I thought was get him and Maswanisi into the front line with anyone else that we've already got in the team before I knew about this guy even existing. Then I think we're hot to trot. I think we look really good because power and pace with both of these lads, and then a bit of guile or a bit of finishing from whoever else you want to think about in this reckoning. And I thought that would be a really good department, again, to keep that kind of theme going that we'd be building up. Doesn't feel like this is happening. Really doesn't feel like Maswanisi is happening here. Mvuka could still give a bit of that, but again, it's just so much of a gamble by comparison. It's hard to say that out loud and be confident, just to be honest about it. But yeah, Adamu, again, I'm also thinking with Kavan Kara, like, you see in this game, like, he's got a head on it. And that's the one thing with a guy like this, that even if they're not a target man, Johnny Kenny could have got that header on target today, but he probably wouldn't have scored it. You know what I mean? And it's just those chances. If you've got a guy that can just finish and is like a bit rangy, a bit taller, used to winning balls in the air and how to deal with them, even without him being an out-and-out target man, his height kind of gives him that gift of, it's a situation he's been in a lot of matches growing up in his life, I'm sure. You get the goal from it, you know. But as you see from the assist in the first game, and you can see with a wee bit of his running power, he's similar to the Adamu, can play maybe like Dyson can, is like that wider forward. And see for games where we are really, if you think about like the snake, what do you call them, a boa constrictor, where they're really like wrapping around and squeezing somebody. When we're doing that to a team and really banking them in, do we need Forrest as a winger? Do we need like Yang as a winger? No. Maybe we put Adamu on as like a wide forward. Kavan Kara's already on. And yeah, he'll still break into space, try and do some cutbacks. But if the ball's on the left, he is like another striker that's in the box, you know. Equally, you could even think about all three of these being a front three, really, in some sort of weird scenario, you know, where maybe folk were injured and it is like we're throwing the kitchen sink at somebody because of like the legs and that these guys offer. So there's maybe more than one kind of shift you get out of them. Again, this leads me to worry about where man down, Ghost in the Shell, Dyson Maeda, where his head is at, what maybe happens, because these guys do have a degree of versatility. Again, would you be surprised if like you've seen that sort of thing happen? with any of these guys? Probably not, because, like I say, I will be, again, let's just add these guys back into the picture as well. Leaving January with these guys on the books as striker, I find so surprising. Big Chavan Chara has impressive presence, says Colin Rogers. Yeah, I quite like him. I'm not mad for him, but I like him. You know, I like guys that have got a better personality, a bit of determination, and he's no shy. You know, he's seen some of the balls that came in for him today. He wasn't too happy with. He was telling people how he was wanting it, and you know, I can grow to like people like that. I say I'm not mad for him, but I do think, yeah, he looks like he's doesn't look like the problem child he could have been, which is lovely because that was one of the concerns of the signing, wasn't it? When is Osman back? I think it's after AJ. I think it's the vibe that's around it. AJ is penciled in for March, so I don't think we can really think about him for this season. Kenny, we don't really know. It doesn't feel like a big injury, but these guys are still on the books, you know, for the season. Osmond is still registered for the Europa League squad, you know, so I'm flabbergasted. Which then again, it just gives me the paras, it gives me the fear that Adamu is actually going to be a Tyson Maeda replacement or something wacky, you know, like that. So it's not over till it's over. It's going to be an intense couple of hours. Kieran, Quinny wanting a boa constrictor or board will get a slow worm, maybe. Araujo, very Izaguirre vibes. I get that. I did say pre-match I wanted to see more of Araujo attacking, and I felt like we got a bit more of that today. Without, felt like space came to him and he just took it rather than it was like, right, let's attack with Araujo. Man of the match today. Again, we'll talk about it more in the Falkirk breakdown that we'll have out tomorrow, the pre-recorded video. But yeah, Araujo's solid. And again, I've mentioned it on the channel. I'll kind of say it again. But when you buy guys that are top of the food chain in leagues, like Araujo, like formerly was obviously at Galaxy, was the best in the division. You've got a better chance of success, you know. And yeah, it's not worked out with Balikwisha, but it's certainly worked out with Negren. Even though he wasn't the Nicholas Kuhn replacement that Celtic maybe had thought they were getting, he is a good footballer, you know. And again, a lot of people that say this, I'm very friendly with, of course, because I'm very friendly with a lot of people that do Celtic fan media and whatever. But see, everyone that I hear that calls Negren an enigma, and it is basically everyone that refer to him as an enigma. It just honestly, steam comes out my nose. I'm just like, he's just a football player. See, because he's not a mad super athlete or a crazy dribbler, he's not. There's no enigma about him. He's just like just a footballer. He's a guy that's there on football IQ and like talent. You know, he's not got any outstanding physical attributes or anything like that that's really it separates him. And we're a team that's had guys like this 1,000 times over. Tom Rogic being the best example, which is why Tom Rogic's career after Celtic died, because he is there. He was his physicality was great. Don't get me wrong, but it's not really the optimal physicality for elite football. Just his mobility and lack of pace and whatever. But Rogic made a career out of talent, you know, and IQ. And that's what Negren is. And if you think like Dyson Maeda is like the opposite end of the scale, where his career so far, in my opinion, as a Celtic fan watching him, has been built upon physical endeavour attributes, you know, his ability to press and repeat versus all the crosses that he shanks into the to the stand and all the sitters he misses, you know. So he's just on the opposite end of that athlete. You know, all of these guys are a cross of how good they are as an athlete and how good they are as a footballer. We all know people, and I'm sure you guys do. We all know people that are talented out of the mind, but maybe naturally, maybe life choices, circumstances, whatever, athletically, discipline-wise, whatever, didn't make it, that kind of thing. And all these guys are some combination, some ratio of football talent and athletic ability, you know. And Negren, I'm not saying he's not a good athlete. I call him marathon man. I don't think he stops running. Just doesn't run at a great pace, but he covers every blade of grass. But he is just way more footballer than athlete, you know, for me. The chat is firing tonight, guys. Please, if you've not done so already, smash the like button. There's a bunch of you here. We're having a great show tonight on a Sunday, where we've got a imminent double transfer for Celtic. Joël Mvuka, the left winger that can play on the right wing, the former Bodo Glimt player that's not getting a game in France, and Junior Adamu, the excuse me, the former RB Salzburg Bundesliga champion with Champions League experience, Austria senior international on way from Freiburg, who has been playing in the Bundesliga without being particularly prolific. to reinforce our attacking ranks going into the business end of the season. There is still business to be done. Martin O'Neill has highlighted and hinted at the fact that we could be bringing in at least one more bit of business before Monday at 11 o'clock or whenever the deadline is said to be. No one seems quite sure if it's 7 or 11. I think it is 11. And where is that going to be? We've spoke about the potential of it being a midfielder, but really that's a consequence of Engels leaving. Today we've seen Dane Murray start in the absence of the suspended Trusty. I said pre-match, I really wanted to see not neutral and not negative. I wanted to see positive performance from Murray. I wanted to see a real contribution from him. Again, I'll need to watch the game back and really have a real going over it again. But I didn't see it. He did a Vickers shift, right? And that's fine for Vickers because Vickers is a man mountain, is the fridge. Nothing gets by him. I'm not sure Murray was that solid. Again, I'll need to double check it. But I'm not sure I quite got that from him today. And for Welsh to come on, because we've seen obviously a part of the reasoning for this was Welsh was going to come on for Tierney, and we're going to move Scales to left back. So the decision has been who gets 90 minutes, Murray or Welsh, because both of them will feature. And we've decided to invest the 80 minutes of this game into Murray rather than go with the security of a Welsh, which tells me Welsh is. I don't think there's any reality where Welsh is sincerely behind Dane Murray on playing in the SPFL for Celtic at home at Falkirk, because Murray, and what I mean by the Vickers shift is he continuously gave the ball to Scales or to Araujo. Anytime he got past the halfway line, I think he had one attempted pass into this type of zone where I've got the mouse now, but more often than not, he got a nosebleed and went back the way or parallel horizontal, And I was not impressed, and that's what I needed today. I wasn't saying I was unimpressed that he played bad, but I expected him to. Martin O'Neill even referenced he'll be up for the game today, and this is a good chance for him. And I don't think we got a positive shift out of him. That might sound harsh, maybe it is, but make this make sense. Imagine we had a banana skin today. It was a very tight match, And again, breakdown will be on the channel tomorrow. We'll do that properly later on. It's 7 p.m. in England. Nah, that's what it is, Kieran. Thank you very much for the catch there. Our biggest problem is fans not letting people go. In terms of detachment and stuff, yeah, I kind of get that. If you mean with Engels, in the summer, I would have maybe agreed with that. I think that they got a different situation in the summer just with fan reception. I think everyone's kind of on the Engels train now. By and large, there's still kind of people there that haven't really seen it from him, which is fine. But if you're talking about Dyson, I think we're all I think any Celtic fan would cash in on Dyson right now. Don't think, again, if you get the shift out of him that we had today, it's hard to say that he's contributing too much. But is he burned out? I believe so. He's played so much and he's played all across the front line. Maybe the rotation just buys you better Dyson as well. Kenneth White with a comment here. Negren and Engels are working a lot harder now off the ball. More strengths to keep the ball, the pair of them. Can't let Engels go now with his pinpoint corners this season. Yeah, I like them both a lot. They just don't cover ground quickly, but they plod across the pitch. They're very good at getting into good positions. And for me, like I've said before, Negren is like a more offensive McGregor, where he just is very good in the final third. He just reads the game well, knows when to shoot and cross. And that's why, yeah, he's getting the headlines for goals right now, but he's been good for assists as well. He's put the ball on a plate for a few folk as well who have not taken their chances this season. And the guy's a final third player. There's no mistake about it. No enigma here. More footballer than athlete. Plain and simple. And I suppose maybe in the modern era, that is a bit mercurial, perhaps. But I don't know if I'd call it an enigma. It's a puzzle no one understands. How can this guy play football? He's just switched on, reads the game, takes up good positions. That's what you want guys to do. Old school, Engels corners are his pinpoint. North Korean missiles. They don't win enough duels or when, yeah. So Kieran Fleming, they don't win enough duels or when it's a battle they can hide. I think with Negren, I think the times where I've seen Negren go absent in the game is when it's a really frantic end to end, because like I say, he does cover every blade of grass. We didn't really see it today, but I think in the last match you've seen him really at times, although being an attacking player, he would drop into these types of positions and get on the ball. And for the matches that I can remember off the top of my head where I think second half he disappeared, he did nothing, he kind of ghosted out of the game. He's been ineffective. Don't get me wrong. I can see those matches too. But I think it's more when it's just like he can't teleport. He can't. He's not that quick. It's something that Tate gives you. Tate can really cover ground, quite fast, and it's been one of his kind of USPs. Negren doesn't really have that. So I think that's the number one thing where if we are sustaining possession and build up like we do, Negren actually works quite well if he can make sure the team knows how to accommodate him. Engels, I kind of agree. Engels, I think, because of his role and his position, when it was Rodgers, it was different because Rodgers had Engels, McGregor, and Tate like pitched out like this. Like I've got them now all the way across the pitch, and it was about making a triangle with the right back and the right winger here, make a triangle over this side, and then McGregor's going to try and link all the stuff together with a striker at the top. That was kind of the way the play went. But outside of the Rodgers time with Engels, there is no excuse for him not being 5 yards away from the ball quite often, even if he's having a poor game. If we're having a poor game, if we're struggling, and it is something like the comment said earlier, he's doing better at. Something I've noticed in the Martin O'Neill, Arnie Engels era is he's way more happy to like put his hip into someone, which is good. But it doesn't really make you a good player because you need to retain possession. Distribution has been fine, but again, sometimes when he's not having a great game, he maybe still doesn't take the chances he should, or I don't know. Like, yeah, I do agree. Sometimes you can. Engels, like I've said repeatedly, is a good player and a good team. And I'm hearing this comment come out from other channels and other people that comment on Celtic as well. So I think maybe it's becoming more apparent, or it's just becoming something that's just in the zeitgeist now. But if the team's playing well, like a guy like Engels makes the team maybe 10, 15% better, complements everything and keeps the machine moving. He's not a guy that is going to win you a game by himself. He's not a guy that will grab the game by the scruff of the neck, give me the ball, I'll tear open the opposition, I'll go by that man, I'll take the shot. He's not got that kind of bite in him that Hatate kind of wants to have, but Hatate's been kind of hit and miss whether he's got it or not. The Gren's got that in the final third, but he's been a bit of a one-man band, at times, which is maybe to his detriment, maybe kind of adds on a bit of pressure with that fan perception of how he's done and stuff. Because again, like he's the only guy that's he's played everywhere. He's played everywhere this year. I think people like Quinny want us to be like Bodo, but cannot get into the idea of selling people when they are at their peak. Is this in relation to Engels? Because I think like overall, like I am very much on sell at peak. But the thing you need to think about it with that Bobby one is like it sounds like and again, forgive me for labeling you this way, right? But it sounds like you're maybe almost defending the situation we're in to some extent. In terms of like we have to let Engels go to do this stuff. Number one, we don't, right? But number two, outside of this particular situation we're in now, I've never had a problem with selling Josip Juranovic when we did, or really Odson Edward when we did, or Dembele, any of these guys really. But to play that game, you need to be one step ahead. You need to, like everyone else talks about in football, you need to know who your replacement is. You think about big clubs, they already know their next manager before they sack the guy, that kind of idea. And as you can see with the situation now, there's just no ability for us to, like people thought, oh, we've got Bernardo and O'Reilly. That's really good because Bernardo can replace O'Reilly. I never thought that, by the way. Plenty of receipts on the internet. You can go and check them out. And when you bring Engels in, it's like, again, there's just no advantage. Again, who replaces Engels in this team? Nobody. It's not Odenholm. It's not bloody Bernardo. It's not going to be Luke McKeown. It certainly isn't going to be Hatate. And then you're going to bring in one guy who might work or might not work, and to sell the guys that you're attached to or whatever, to Bodo Glimt it up or to move the team on. Yeah, you need to do that. But also, like, Celtic aren't restricted by cash flow or FFP. We should be extremely agile. I think we should be very aggressive, obviously. Imagining that the club are never going to be aggressive, we should just be more, we should be future-proofing. Not even being aggressive, but just being safe. We should be, at the very least, future-proofing the squad. And we are not future-proof to sell Engels. If we sell Engels tonight, tomorrow morning, we lose a lot. A lot. And that money isn't going to be reinvested in a Bodo Glimt situation. I don't even think they're the people to talk about. This is more of a Bruges dynamic, or one of these other kind of Moneyball hyperactive transfer clubs. But we're not there. No problem with doing that. Absolutely. I'd say, no, 18 million for Engels. I no bother. If we've got any confidence or a ready-made, that we can get a ready-made, confidence in the ready-made. Sorry, kind of tongue twisted myself there. So again, I think Engels has been fine for us. This might be a little chapter in his career, maybe a little chapter in our history. If we can make some money, he moves on. We get someone else who's maybe got a clean slate. They're not coming in to replace O'Reilly, and we can get someone that's actually the square peg for the square hole. It could be the best thing for everyone. I'm not against it, but I'm petrified of it happening. And like David Stalker says, now David Stalker, we've long suspected on this channel, we used to think it was the Brendan Rodgers burner account. Not sure. Jury's still out. But Brendan Rodgers or David Stalker comes in to say we need a centre back tomorrow. And again, if we are to get one more, how can it not be? Because Welsh is who knows what's happening with Welsh really at this point. Murray, I don't think. He covered for Trusty fine enough today, but I don't know, man. You're really relying upon Scales and Trusty being fit and healthy and suspension free for a long time. I think if we're going with this defence for the rest of the season, CB is a priority, says Kev Boy. I'm kind of with you there. And fine. He's been up and down in many games, or average in most. Who was that in relation to? Sorry. Fan 1967 tick. It's hard to keep up with the chat sometimes because I kind of touch on a few things at once. I'm really sorry. Recall Naroki, I don't think that's possible. He's back fit and available. He got an injury. He's been back fit playing the last game or two. Who else do we register for Europa League? Interesting dynamic because we can only register 3 players. We have Araujo. We have Kavankara. We are looking to have Adamu and Mvuka. That's 4 bodies in. Maybe there'll be a 5th one in tomorrow. And we can only register 3 of them. With Iheanacho being in the Europa League squad, it's hard to imagine that it would be Kavankara and Adamu. Certainly wouldn't it? Araujo has to be in the squad, you feel, with the injury to Alistair Johnson. And Mvuka, maybe by default of the position he plays, maybe he's a safe option to go in. Engels has never had an outstanding game, Crossford Boy. That is wild. That's very harsh. That's very harsh. Never? Come on, man. Come on, really? Murray confidence is shot. I don't think he looks low in confidence, personally. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe you've nailed it there. I'm not too sure. I didn't really get that from him when I watched him today, but again, Sugarman, you've got very expensive taste. Very expensive taste. Alan Sant Maximum, the wages would be too high. This guy's mega money. Mega money. Is he still in Saudi? I don't think we can drop Osman was brought in to replace. So we used an emergency rule where, because Carter Vickers was essentially ruled out for the season due to the severity of his injury, we could bring Callum Osmond into the squad, and then Callum Osmond get injured. So I don't think so. I think he is in the squad. Again, I think you can only really think about him playing a part in the competition if we were to really progress in it. But yeah, I don't think we can really cash him in registration wise, It's a good day today. We won. That's all. Yeah, JJ Lisbon, I'm with you. Hornemeyer. Oh, yeah, that's the other midfielder, of course. Hornemeyer. Hornemeyer would be, do you know what? That makes absolute sense, Stephen Kennedy. We mentioned Segur is maybe similar to Engels, but I get a bit more bite. Silas Anderson, I don't know well enough to really say if he's a doppelganger to that same extent. But Felix Meyer looks like someone that would pick up Engels' batting. Engels is overrated. I think you could. I think you could agree, Pablo 88, that Engels, Celtic fans overrate him a bit because we want him to be good. I kind of agree with that, right? But he is good. And I think the main thing you need to remember is his age and really how crap we've been since he showed up. That's another thing as well. If you put him into an even, I seen Leipzig were interested in him. I had very little surprise about it, and I first of all thought he would be very good at Leipzig. I could see him being very good at a team like that. Nottingham Forest are a bit basket casey. and again, when I see that link, I totally get why they're interested in him, because if you look at Nottingham Forest, they love big, rangy midfielders. And if he can get into the training ground with guys like Elliot Anderson and everyone else that they've got there, he could be if he went to any one of those clubs, I would totally back him to become a better player very quickly, So I kind of agree. Celtic fans do overrate him, but I do think there's a lot of context that comes into it, and I think Celtic fans maybe overcompensate for that. We overpaid for him. That's very true. That's very true. But if we hadn't overpaid for him, I think everyone would be quite happy with him. Really, imagine we got him for £6 million, £4 million, whatever. I think people would be way happy with it. So I think the context is quite important. Yeah, chat is absolutely flying. Window shuts tomorrow night. We're just catching up because we've got basic confirmation that Mvuka is a permanent transfer to Celtic. Medicals underway. There's a CeltsAreHere exclusive. It's a permanent for £3 million, and Adamu is on his way on loan from Freiburg. It looks like to really reinforce the centre forward area. We still have this gap in the midfield for something that can give even just relief into the rotation, like Martin O'Neill's mentioned, and I think that will be the main role of Mvuka in the team. And again, centre back, do we have a backup? I'm going to check the Twitter sphere, see if we've got any break-ins. You guys have been very good with tagging me on stuff, by the way. It helps me keep on top of everything. Excuse me. And yeah, I think that may be about the size of it for tonight, everyone. Doesn't seem like there'll be any more business, but Nottingham Forest have submitted that bid of £14 million, reportedly. Oh, I got so excited there for a second. I seen Obed Vargas, but it's Atletico Madrid. Oh, so by the way, heart skipped a beat. Imagine this was us. Atletico Madrid, that's just not happening for us anymore, is it? Gutted. And our defensive midfield has been quality, but anyway, not in our price range, obviously. I'd love one or both of the Cadden brothers in our squad, Quinny. Well, I think in terms of like what this guy's given us, I don't know. I get where you're coming from. I think it's a bit low level for us, but again, if it's just win the league and get guys that are physical units and stuff, those guys are athletes. I don't think their injury record is very good, though. I think they're regularly out and such, aren't they? But I kind of get what you mean. New boys match fit? Yeah, they both will be. Yeah, Adamu's been playing regularly in the Bundesliga pre-winter break, excuse me, as is Mvuka, been playing regularly off the bench from Ligue 1 and Lorient. So should be coming in. Just need a bit of acclimatization. Would you do it set pieces? What's your pal's name? What's your squad number? And how do we want you to attack the box, essentially? And it should be ready to go quite quickly, you would think, once they get in the building. But yeah, who do we register is quite an interesting question. I think Mvuka and Araujo are safe. But between Kavankara and Adamu, man, this is going to be a wee bit of a survival of the fittest element, I think. That'll be an interesting little subplot. And if we get another player in that just even adds into it further. I think Araujo was nailed on to play, isn't he? And Mvuka makes sense because his versatility to play left and right wing. Are they tall? Adamu is like 183. So he's like, he's maybe like a wee bit shorter than me. Not a short, maybe a normal sized man, you would say. I'm like 2 centimeters below 6 foot, and I'm like 180 something. Can't remember. That's how I remember height of everyone. Where am I? So Adamu's like round about the same height as me, 183. And Mvuka, I think, is tiny, to be honest with you. But I don't know that. So let's go and find out. Great question from Anti-Fascist 7818. Joel Mvuka. 176. Yeah, so he's like short. Not Marco Telio. How tall is Telio? Telio is tiny, by the way. I was there for his press conference when we signed him. And that was the one thing I thought about. I was like, this guy looks like a wee boy. 170. So he's 170. And he looks like a wee boy. He's 176. Yeah, he's like Hitate sized. Maeda sized. Yeah, 173, Dyson Maeda. 170. He's taller than Dyson. There we go. He's taller than Dyson by like that. Great question. Full disclosure, I am Engels' well-being coach. Officer Feelgood. Well, tell Arnie we want him to stay. We want him to stay, but we won't stand in his way either. We just make sure there's a swap deal. Oh, Matt, could we get a swap deal on the go with Forest? Like, we'll sell you Engels because Forest stack up the players, man. Their squad is massive. Oh, I'd take Sangari off them in a minute. Don't think that's going to happen. Dominguez wouldn't be bad for us either. Not sure these other guys are kind of semi-likely. Not saying those guys are. Sangar, what's his? Oh, I'd love Sangar. Don't think. Yeah, still under contract. He's not been on loan or anything, has he? Yeah, I didn't think so. And then Sean Dycheman. Oh, I'd love that, man. Sangar is everything you want him to be, guys. Yeah, he's been playing under Sean Dyche. Damn it. I know I'm dreaming. I know I'm dreaming, right? I know I'm dreaming. But I'm just thinking, if it is Forest, you know, is there a way, if Arnie Engels is well-being coach is here, we can get him to tell his agent to, I don't know. I don't know what I'm even talking about anymore. Guys, you go mad with this stuff because we are in the pits of despair at this point. We're begging for some sort of oddball that the Nottingham Forest squad don't need anymore that we could take on board, perhaps, if they are going to steal one of our key midfielders off of us at this late hour. But no, I don't think there is anyone that is probable. Yates, somebody said there, but he's been captain there for ages. I think he'll stay there until his contract expires, probably. If Masonisi's 4 million, give them a 4 million in Balikwisha. What a comment, Stephen Mitzi. Celtic are waiting on the clearance shelf being filled up tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. Good. Sky Sports News have said that Celtic have rejected their £14 million bid. That's fantastic. I don't think we should be accepting anything below 18 in the current market. I think 2022 is a good figure that we could get as well. But 18 in add-ons and we get a player or we've got a lineup, then I could do it. But I don't believe we have anyone lined up. And I mean, like, we would need to sign two guys. If we sell Engels, the board, the club cannot get away with getting one guy in. You know what I mean? I would like to see us get like Felix Meyer and Silas Anderson, for example. But they're probably going to do something cheap, aren't they? So if we, yeah, I could see them like selling Engels. And what was the fee for that Felix Meyer? What was the fee that was? Was it 4 million? 3 million. They'll buy this guy, and then we'll buy like David Watson from Kilmarnock or something. And then bank 15 million quid. We're on the same. We're reading we're on the same page here. Iconodroid. We'll sell Engels for 18 million and replace him with David Watson on a Bosman. Yeah, I could. I would take David Watson in the squad right now. It's David Watson off the bench. Like David Watson is like a vertical runner, like runs through the pitch. And I wouldn't mind a bit of that off the bench, and that's really where I would have him. Coming off the bench for us. I would take David. I would sell Engels. I wouldn't mind David Watson coming in on top of like a Silas Anderson or like an actual proper prospect midfielder. Jack McGlynn. Oh, please, Celtic. Please. Please. If we're going to sign anyone in midfield, now is the time. Especially if we sell Engels. Jack McGlynn. 100% who we should go for. I was actually thinking I had some recommendations for a video lined up in case Engels was to leave, and I didn't actually include Jack McGlynn on it. But why I'm struggling to remember right now is who did I have prepped for that video of who to replace Engels with? Let me go and find it. Maybe this one? Nope. Is it this one? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've kind of spoke about all these guys on the channel already. I won't rehash that just now. Need a CB. Yeah, I think centre back is a big one. The only centre back we've been kind of linked to is actually one I really like is Jamie Lawrence. And again, like, would not be upset if this happened. Be very happy for this to happen. There's no reason it shouldn't happen. Very affordable, very much in our price range. Ticks every box. We've spent some time on the channel chatting about him before. I'm not going to dig into it in too much detail. But a couple of days after we covered them on the channel, we know some people at Celtic watch fan media, apparently. I wonder if Sean Maloney and Martin O'Neill are joining the ranks. But a few days after we spoke about Jamie Lawrence, Celtic expressed an interest, apparently. That's one of their favourite things to do. Who was the young Highland lad at Falkirk the other day? Who was the lad you highlighted from Falkirk? So Brad Spencer, the midfielder, who was very good today, actually, was one of them. Connor Allen is a very good defender as well, we spoke about. And Keelan Adams, who I kind of know because I used to coach at Glasgow Uni when Keelan Adams was a player there. So I've kind of got a wee soft spot for Keelan Adams. He was the first player to score against us this season in any competition. And he's looked good against us every time we've played them. He got his nose busted today and he ended up playing with a shirt without a number on it, you might remember. But the players I highlighted was Brad Spencer and Connor Allen in particular. We did a lot of scouting profiling using some AI not too long ago. It was like a football data website that has an AI engine in it. It was quite fun to play with. And when we were comparing Nico Segur with SPFL midfielders, Brad Spencer at Falkirk was consistently up there with Devlin and Elliot Watt on like every metric. He was right up there, you know. So he's just always been someone that I've kind of, since we've played Falkirk since then, I've always kind of paid attention. I thought he played quite well today. Handled Engels well at times, you would say. But that's who it was, Brad Spencer. And Connor Allen, I thought played well at centre back. Again, another player it's worth keeping an eye on from a Celtic point of view. Yeah, Data MB, that's what it was. It was that website. Typhoon McFlustery. Surely there's talented players in Scotland. I think the only Scotland centre back I would sign is Connor Allen, like SPFL wise. Midfielder, I'd gladly take Elliot Watt. Just doesn't feel like that's happening for some reason. Maspanisi, I would take. David Watson, I would take into the squad. I don't think he changes the starting lineup or anything. But that's kind of it, really. Like, I'm not sure there's many other. Calvin Miller, actually, in the Axom chat, was getting a lot of love today. I wouldn't mind Calvin Miller like in this depth chart as like third left winger or something, but beyond that, like, you know, like, yeah, maybe he could be better than this Mvuka guy. Like, if this Mvuka guy is rubbish, then Calvin Miller would have been a better signing, is what you could say in the aftermath of it. But this guy has a lot of raw minerals, pace, dexterity that might just work out quite nicely. Elijah Just, yeah, I would sign him too. Where I would take anybody kind of now at this point, Kieran McLeish. And yeah, Mvuka doesn't look great on even the highlight reels and stuff. Doesn't look like obvious. Oh yeah, of course. Ross McLaughlin, Mulligan, of course. Probably the top guy you would sign in the league right now. How could I forget? Oh, damn it. I thought the Falkirk player up against Tierney today was good. Was that the boy Wilson? Again, we'll look at this more in the. And that your man looks like a player. Yeah. Kyrell Wilson, that's what it was, yeah. Found himself quite deep, back in the right back position defending. When the commentary were talking about his forward play and his striker play, I'm like, this guy's like defending, you know. Who's the young Dundee centre back? Oh, do you know Dundee? I've got a few OKB centre backs. I like Ryan Astley. They had the boy last year that gave us a handful, but I think he's at St Mirren now. Was his name Donnelly? Guy that got in Trusty's ear. Dundee centre back. Astley, Graham, maybe. Ashley's been good for a wee while. He's not a great centre back. I don't think I could see him at Celtic, if I'm honest. Let's look at their players in case there's someone not on that team sheet. Aaron Donnelly? I don't think it was him last year. Oh, it was him. He was the guy that psyched out Trusty. I'm sure it was him. Northern Irish. That young guy Mora at Porto, he would be worth a punt, wouldn't he? Calvin Miller did play well today. Guys, can you tell me, was Calvin Miller the left back that was first choice in the B team when Tierney was third choice? If you remember that old story. I think that was him. I'm a great guy. Great comment again. You're on fire today. Casper had a good game, but his love handles were showing. I kind of totally agree with that, by the way. The like button has been absolutely smashed. These are heroes and legends. If you could keep it going, guys, that would be absolutely lovely. Smash the likes, keep it going. And if you've not done so already, hit the subscribe button for more. Get into the live chat. Keep it coming, guys. We've been live for about an hour or so, and we've got imminent arrivals, which is fantastic. I'm not too sure there's going to be any further news tonight. If there is, we'll pick up with it tomorrow. I'll be on Axom tomorrow afternoon, and we'll have a video breaking down the Falkirk game going out tomorrow as well. And I'm sure we'll have we'll be live probably around the deadline itself to kind of cover the last flows, the last moves, ins and outs. But it feels like if there is going to be an outgoing, it's going to be Arnie Engels. We've got two imminent arrivals in Joel Mvuka and Junior Adamu. Junior Adamu, I'm on board with. I quite like where we're at for centre forward now. I feel really good about that really quickly all of a sudden. Question marks on this guy. Let's just see what happens, man, you know. And still no sign of a centre back. Martin O'Neill reckons we could get another. But all quiet on the Western Front. You know, about 2 or 3 minutes after I end this stream, something's going to come out live, isn't it? It's going to be Felix Meyer or, you know, Engels to Forest will be done or something like that. RB Salzburg have agreed to sign Redzic. That's like confirmed. Man of the match, Araujo. Love that. Well earned, wee man. Yeah, not much else to pick up on tonight, guys. Absolute pleasure. Thanks everyone who's tuned in. Really appreciate all the support on the channel. Hope you've enjoyed the content. If you've not done so already, please do like and subscribe, share and retweet and all that good stuff, everyone. It really goes a long way to supporting the channel. We're pushing for 18,888 subscribers, and we cannot do that without your support, everyone. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend for the next couple of hours, I suppose. I'll see you all tomorrow. Hail, hail, and Moon the Hoops. Stick about. You know, as soon as I leave, something's going to happen. Johnny Kenny and Welsh traded with Maswanisi or for Maswanisi or something.